Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about how to basically use the master slide section in PowerPoint to set up a nice slide deck to create e-learning content that then would be exported or rather imported into a tool like Adobe Captivate. So in this case you can see a PowerPoint slide deck that I've been working on, and one of the things that you want to always focus on are the design principles of CARP: contrast, alignment, repetition, proximity. And so one of the ways that you can do this is when you open a new slide in PowerPoint. So if I do File, New Presentation, so in PowerPoint you of course have a lot of different themes that you can use, but a lot of times these themes are generic or boring or just don't meet your needs. And so I tend to have the philosophy less is more, and so I try to go with a real clean background. But one of the first things that I try to do is I try to focus on using my master slide to basically set up my page. And so right now I'm doing this on a Mac, pretty much same concepts when using PowerPoint on a PC. So if I go to Themes, if I go to Edit My Slide Master, what I can do is I can go in here and make some basic changes that will then be reflected throughout any new slide that I use. So I'm going to change my heading to an Arial black. I'm going to do it right aligned. And while there are a lot of rules about the appropriate size of font and other things for when you're using PowerPoint, they tend to all be based on if you're going to actually be using PowerPoint face to face in a large auditorium, where when you're actually designing or using PowerPoint for e-learning, some of those rules go out the window, and I've talked some elsewhere about this. And so I'm going to actually just go with 30 point for now. Actually, we'll change that to 32 and see what that looks like. Okay. And then I'm going to go down to my body, and I'm going to just do a Control A, and I'm going to change this to Arial. And so I'm just using real basic readable font. And so in this case, I tend to, when I think about contrast, alignment, repetition, proximity, repetition really focuses on this not using too many different types of fonts. And so my body font tend to be about a 20. I could probably even go to a 22 to a 24. Let's see what 24 looks like. We'll keep that. Sometimes there are definitely areas where I would go smaller, and then down here I'm going to actually delete some of this because I really just want this main section down here from my footer. So I'm just going to drag this out. So in this case I'm just going to bring it down. And so once again I'm going to change this to Arial. I'm going to change this to, we'll say, 9-point font, and we'll leave that for now. So the next thing that I do is I start focusing on the colors that I want to use. So in this example you'll see that I have a basic plain blue background. And so what I'm going to do is, in this case, before I even worry about the colors of my font or other things, so I'm going to go up to Insert, and I'm going to go to Shape. And I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to start to drag it, and I'll get rid of this now, and I bring it back down. And what I'm basically interested in doing is creating that area where my text is going to go. A lot of times they give too much white space here, and while white space is good, I'm going to bring this up a little. And so this is the box for my text. I'm going to bring that up a little. I'm going to bring this over here, and I tend to need less of a curved radius there. I'm going to drag this over. So I'm overlapping it a bit so I have that nice white space that I want. And I could probably even do a little more. Okay, so that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background of this. And so I'm just going to right click, go Format Shape. And so I want my fill actually to be white, in this case no fill. And I'm going to click on line, because I'm just going to choose, we'll say, a gray line like that. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to right click and go Format Background. So in this case I'm just going to choose that one. I'm going to hit Apply to All. You notice how I did lose my background color of the shape, so I'm just going to go back to Format Shape. And it's actually because I didn't lose it, I chose no fill, which was a mistake, because in my case, I actually want it to be white. So I chose white, that looks good. And I'm going to, in this case, highlight this and change this to a white font. Okay, it's looking good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to actually save this as an image. So in this case, I'm going to scroll all the way down, and you can't see it, but I'm going to change. I selected Ping, a PNG, and I'm going to just save this to my desktop. In this case, it actually, because I wouldn't load too fast, it just saved them all. I actually, in that case, just wanted to have this one, the slide number 1, but either way, it works just fine. So now what I can do, so if I close my master, for instance, if I go to this now, if I go to Format Background, if I click on Picture or Texture, I'm going to choose the picture. What I'm going to choose is, I'm going to choose this slide that I wanted. So in this case, it was actually, there was only one slide after all. So that worked great. I'm going to hit Apply to All. And so now what I've done is I've just created this basic background that's going to, whenever I create a new slide, you'll notice there it is. And so in this case, because I set up my master in a certain way, you can see how this will work out. And so you could definitely get more specific, but you can see, but just like that, I created a basic, using the slide mask, I've created a basic template that will help me maintain the principles of CARP throughout my e-learning design experience, so that when I import this into a tool like Captivate, it is following basic design principles. Thanks.